Perfect.
We good?
Not yet, no.
Oh, okay.
And then you just hit the Zoom, Laura Lee, and we should be. And go down below to the little. Down in the black panel at the bottom, the blue Zoom, there you go, and click on that one. And that should be good. Then you can turn our camera or our. Yep, we're good.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. Today's meeting is being streamed live via the Township of Addington Highlands YouTube channel. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of the Committee of Adjustment, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Anyone invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and/or secretary have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of the live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances where deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Notice is hereby provided that under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001 and in accordance with Ontario's Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, MFIPPA, that all information provided for or at a public meeting / consultation or other public process are considered part of the public record. Members of the committee, staff, delegations, and attendees should be mindful of using names of individuals or entities when discussing matters in public. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and/or unacceptable behavior and/or comments. As per the Township's procedural bylaw as amended, all votes during electronic meetings will be recorded votes. All members of the Committee of Adjustment are participating in person from the council chambers. Applicants and any other members of the public may participate in person or electronically during the meeting. Thank you. Now I need a motion to approve the agenda. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Hook. Any additional items? Ready for the vote. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Councillor Hook.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Fritsch.
Yes.
Councillor Yanch.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Adoption of the minutes. We got two. Do we make two motions? Okay. First, the 19th of February minutes. Deputy Reeve Fritsch, second Councillor Yanch. Any errors or omissions? Ready for the vote. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Councillor Hook.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Fritsch.
Yes.
Councillor Yanch.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Now, the Committee of Adjustment meeting dated May 21st, 2025. Councillor Thompson's. Councillor Hook. Any errors or omissions? Ready for the vote. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Councillor Hook.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Fritsch.
Yes.
Councillor Yanch.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. No business arising. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest, the general nature thereof? None noted. Applications for minor variance. First, we got MV 2025/02. Moriarty, Patricia.
Thank you. This is an application for minor variance submitted by Joanne Moriarty. The property is located in the geographic township of of Ashby at 172 Blanding Turtle Lane and described as Plan 768, Lot 9, 29R 28829, Part 2. Property is 1.3 acres in size and zoned residential limited service and designated as waterfront residential in the official plan. And the existing use of the land is an existing seasonal dwelling. The property is located within the is not located within a Conservation Authority watershed. Therefore, the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks circulated and reviewed the application. The ministry had no objection to the application. A notice of application was circulated to the county of Lennox and Addington and the property owners within 60 meters of the application, and no comments were received. Arcadis Professional Services has provided a planning report on the application, which considers the 4 tests of a minor variance and provided a recommendation in their report. The application was submitted by David Malcolm on behalf of Joanne Moriarty and is seeking to decrease the setback from a water body or wetland, and in this case, a wetland, from 30 meters to 15 meters to permit the construction of a Class 4 septic system. The subject lands are developed with an existing 1-story cottage constructed in 1970 and 3 accessory structures. The dwelling is currently serviced by an existing gray water system and composting toilet and privy. The lot is heavily treed and the wetland runs along the southern boundary of the property. The setback from the watermark of Ashby Lake will be 30 meters or greater. The wetland is not considered to be a provincially significant wetland, and an environmental impact study prepared for the development of the road into the site recommended that the road pass through a portion of this same wetland using a culvert and indicated that the wetland is not considered to meet the definition of fish habitat. It is also understood that the wetland is seasonal in nature. The property had previously been water access only. However, there has been a road constructed, as mentioned, within the last 5 years, which has now made it possible for the property owners to obtain vehicular access and easier to install a septic system, as the proposed Class 4 system is considered an improvement over an existing gray water system. The 4 tests of a minor variance include whether the application meets the general intent of the official plan. The township official plan designates the property as waterfront residential, and the proposed development located on Ashby Lake, which is a highly sensitive lake trout lake. However, for existing lots of record, the minimum setback required is 30 meters or the greatest setback achievable. The proposed septic system is situated 30 meters from the shoreline of Ashby Lake, but only 15 meters from the connected wetland. And due to the constraints, this is the greatest setback achievable from the wetland. The Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks confirmed that they have no issue with the proposed location and acknowledged that the proponent is striving to maintain the greatest possible setback and is meeting the required setback of Ashby Lake. An environmental impact study completed for the development of the road identified the location of the wetland as non-significant and recommended the road pass through it. So as such, it is not anticipated that the proposed septic system, which will be near the road and set back 15 meters, would result in any negative impacts to the environment, particularly compared to the gray water pit and composting toilet that it will be replacing. The proposed development is located as far feasible from the wetland, and in addition, the wetland is not provincially significant, and based on this and that no further environmental impact is anticipated, the planner is of the opinion the proposed septic system and associated variance maintains the intent of the official plan. The second test of the minor variance is whether the application maintains the general intent and purpose of a zoning bylaw. The subject property is zoned residential limited service, and the residential dwelling and septic system are permitted within the zone. Section 4.7.1I of the zoning bylaw requires the setback for the septic tank disposal system and tile fields be set back 30 meters from the high water mark of all water bodies. 4.71II of the zoning bylaw requires that for existing lots of record on Ashby Lake, all buildings and structures, including septic tank disposal systems and tile fields, be set back 30 meters from the high water mark, which is interpreted to include wetlands. The proposed septic system will be set back 30 meters from Ashby Lake to the north and 15 meters from the wetland to the south. But due to physical constraints, the proposed septic system cannot meet the 30-meter setback from the wetland, and it is understood that the system is set back as far as possible with the driveway located in between. It is the intent of the zoning bylaw to maximize the setback where possible, and the proposed septic system meets this intent. Further to this, the Minister of Conservation and Parks confirmed they have no issues with the proposed location of the system and acknowledged the proponent is striving to maintain the greatest setback possible. And for this proposal from the high water mark of Ashby Lake, the planner is of the opinion the requested relief is consistent with the general intent of the zoning bylaw. And the third test of a minor variance is that the application be minor in nature. This determination is not based on the degree of variation requested, but rather the impact of granting the request. This includes how the application could impact the existing planned functionality of the subject lands, including environmental, nuisance, visual, or functional attributes. The planner provides that generally speaking, the replacement of a gray water system and a composting toilet with a class 4 septic system is preferred from an environmental perspective, coupled with the fact that there are no significant natural heritage features identified on the site and the landscape will remain unchanged. No environmental impacts are anticipated, and visually there would be no negative impacts. The planner is of the opinion the request is minor in nature. And lastly, the application must be considered desirable and appropriate for the development use of the land, buildings, or structures. And the lands are intended for waterfront development as per the official plan and zoning bylaw. The proposed system will service the existing dwelling and represents an improvement over the existing gray water system and composting toilet, and will increase the quality of life for the users on site. As discussed previously, there were no adverse impacts anticipated, and based on this, the planner is of the opinion the variance is desirable and appropriate for the property. The planner considered all comments received and recommended the committee approve the application for minor variance subject to conditions as it is minor in nature, desirable and appropriate, and maintains the intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The proposed conditions include the location and extent of the proposed septic system be consistent with the drawings provided in the application to the satisfaction of the municipality, and that the existing vegetation between the proposed development and the wetland be generally maintained in order to control flow of sediment-laden runoff from the developed area into the wetland and water body. There is a draft recommendation at the end of the report that included the resolution that it be resolved that the reports prepared by the Deputy Clerk, Planning Secretary, and Arcadis Professional Services, as well as all correspondence and comments regarding file MV 2025-02 be received, and further that it be resolved the minor variance file MV 2025-02 be approved subject to the following conditions and described in the decision with the reasons for making the decision being that the application is considered minor in nature, desirable and appropriate, and maintains the intent and purpose of the township official plan and zoning bylaw as amended. With the condition that the location and the extent of the proposed septic system be consistent with the drawings provided with the application to the satisfaction of the municipality, and that the existing native vegetation be located between the proposed development and the water be generally maintained in order to control the flow of laden runoff from the developed area into the water body. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions on this? Ken?
I have no issues with the application or the report. I just have a couple of general questions just for my own information. The filter bed, is that the preferred method rather than the tile system that some people have put in the past, or do we still use tile systems? And what would be the dimensions of a filter bed for a class 4?
I'm not certain of the dimensions. The building inspector would have been able to better speak to that. He has seen the application for the septic system. And yes, this is just the standard class 4 septic system. There's with the tile bed, filter bed considered to be the same thing as far as I'm concerned.
Tony?
I just make a quick comment. Depends on the number of bedrooms and all that, but a typical one for a small building would be, the filter bed would be roughly 20 by 20. It's quite small. They're compact and they work very well. So you can still use a tile bed. But a lot of people, because of the footprint and everything, they go with the filter bed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? If not, I need a motion to receive the reports and adopt the recommendations. Counselor Hook, Counselor Thompson, further comments? Ready for the vote. Counselor Thompson,
Yes.
Counselor Hook.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Fritz.
Yes.
Counselor Yash.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Okay. MV 2025/04 Anderson. Patricia, again.
Thank you. This is another application for minor variance submitted by Jeff and Sarah Anderson. The property is located on Scutamata Lake at 1297D Hughes Landing Road in the geographic township of Anglesea, described as Plan 700, Lot 7, 29R 11320, Part 1. The lot is 1.66 acres in size and zoned residential limited service. The official plan designation is waterfront residential and the existing use is a seasonal dwelling. The property is located within the Quinney Conservation Authority watershed. And Arcadis Professional Services has prepared a planning report which speaks to the policy and the 4 tests of a minor variance. The application was circulated to the County of Lennox and Addington, Quinney Conservation Authority, and the property owners within 60 meters. No comments were received from the county or the property owners, and Quinney Conservation's comments were included in the agenda report. The application proposes to construct a 1-story addition to the western and northeastern ends of the existing cottage, as well as introduce a new partially covered deck on the north side of the addition, and will extend approximately 5.7 meters towards the western interior lot line with an interior side yard of 2.7 meters. The eastern addition will not extend further toward the lake than the existing building, setback 21.9 meters from the eastern shoreline. And there will be a replacement of the existing septic system as well. This expansion of the replacement of the existing septic system will not extend further toward the lake than the existing septic tank, and the proposed additions will increase the floor area of the dwelling from 1,150 square feet to approximately 1,750 square feet. The existing dwelling and deck are set back from Scutamata Lake 27.4 meters to the northern shoreline and 16.5 meters to the eastern shoreline. And in order to permit this development, the applicant is seeking relief from the zoning bylaw 7.3.1 III bracket E to decrease the minimum interior side yard from 5 meters to 2.7 meters to permit the addition and the deck. The planners considered the 4 tests of a minor variance and provided the following. The first test, of course, is the application maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The county official plan identifies the property as rural. The township official plan identifies it as waterfront residential. It's located on Scutamata Lake, and the official plan requires that the setback for all structures be a minimum of 30 meters from the high water mark or 15 meters from the floodplain. Quinney Conservation attended the property and flagged the location of the 100-year floodplain. The distance from the existing cottage to the floodplain was measured at 17.5 meters on the east and 29.2 meters on the north side. As the proposed addition to the dwelling is not encroaching any closer to the lake than the existing footprint, Quinney Conservation staff are satisfied that the additions would adhere to the 15-meter floodplain setback and have no objection to the application. The existing dwelling is within the 30-meter setback as identified in section 771D. being 16.5 meters from the high water mark of Scutamata Lake. This is, pos- development is not considered to be encroaching any closer to the high water mark, and the functionality, given the constraints of the building and the property, that could not achieve a greater setback. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. Sorry. An environmental impact study is required for properties within 120 meters of fish habitat. However, a planning statement, as in accordance with the Natural Heritage Reference Manual, can provide, the planner can provide a statement in a planning report that no negative impacts are anticipated where appropriate, and it is not anticipated that the proposed additions or deck will result in negative impacts to fish habitat, as the proposed structures are located no closer to the high water mark than the existing dwelling. The area is flat, and the site, which is clear of vegetation based on this, the given scale of development, the EIS was not required, and is expected that sediment and erosion control measures will be in place throughout the construction process. It is the position of the planner that this development maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan, which is to permit residential uses on the subject lands, and there was no adverse impacts. The second test to a minor variance is to maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The property is zoned residential limited service. The existing and proposed residential uses permitted in the zone. The variance meets the intent of the zoning bylaw, which ensures all buildings or structures are appropriately placed on the property, ensuring adequate spacing between buildings and maintaining orderly side yards. The existing dwelling is set back 8.9 meters from the western interior lot line. Once the addition and deck are constructed, there will still be a sufficient space between the dwelling and then the interior side yard of 2.7 meters for access and maintenance. The proposed deck is set back a minimum of 5 meters from the interior lot line. Further, a condition to ensure maximum vegetation retention be included. This side yard is recommended for this side yard to maintain screening between the existing dwelling and the west and the property to the west. The potential negative impacts to privacy as a result of the reduced side yard are mitigated by the fact that the proposed addition is only one story, which limits potential overlook onto the neighboring property. The proposed addition is appropriate in scale for the size of the lot and fully complies with the maximum lot coverage, maximum building height, and minimum front and rear yard setbacks for the zone. The existing dwelling is an existing non-complying dwelling with regard to section 4.71 of the bylaw, which requires the 30-meter setback from the high water mark of Scutamata Lake. It does not further reduce the existing setback of 16.5 meters, and in accordance with section 455 of the bylaw. The volume of the addition is proposed on the interior western side of the existing dwelling, and in order to maintain the existing setback from the high water mark, necessitating the proposed reduction in the interior side yard. Quinte Conservation has no concerns with the requested relief to permit the proposed development, and based on this, the planner is of the opinion that the application is consistent with the general intent and purpose of the bylaw. The application must also be minor in nature. And as mentioned previously, this is not a degree of variation requested, but rather determined on whether the impact of granting the request is minor. This includes how the application could impact the existing plan functionality and includes environmental, nuisance, visual, and functional attributes. The proposed reduction in the interior side yard for the addition represents a minor change to the existing conditions of the property. The existing dwelling is set back 8.9 meters from the interior lot line, and the proposed addition would be set back 2.7 meters from the lot line and approximately 35 meters from the existing dwelling to the west. As noted, there would still be significant space between the dwelling and the interior lot line for access and maintenance, and to a condition to ensure the maximum retention of existing vegetation in the side yard is recommended. This would provide screening between the existing dwelling and the property to the west. Any potential negative impacts to privacy as a result of the reduced side yard are mitigated, with the addition being only one story, which limits the overlook onto the neighboring property. The proposed increase in building footprint is appropriate relative to the size of the property and consistent with the range of waterfront dwelling sizes found in the area. And based on this, the planner considers the application to be minor. The application must also be desirable and appropriate for the development or use of the land, building, or structure. The lands are intended for residential development in the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is desirable and appropriate as it will facilitate the expansion of the existing dwelling on the existing lot of record. The reduced interior side yard will allow for the appropriately sized addition to be constructed with no anticipated negative impacts on the adjacent properties or water body. And as such, the planner is of the opinion that the application is desirable and appropriate. The planner considered all comments received and provided a summary in their report, which recommended the approval of the application for minor variance as the subject to conditions as the application is minor in nature, desirable and appropriate, and maintains the intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. They included conditions in their recommendation for approval, which included that the proposed development be consistent with the drawings provided in the application to the satisfaction of the municipality. The existing native vegetation located between the proposed development and the water be generally maintained in order to control the flow of sediment-laden runoff from the development area into the water body, and that the existing native vegetation along the west boundary line next to the addition be maintained to the maximum extent possible. There is a recommendation in the attached report that the reports prepared by the Deputy Clerk, Planning Secretary, and Arcadis Professional Services, as well as corresponding comments, be received. And further, that it be resolved that minor variance application MV 2025-04 be approved, subject to the conditions that were provided, as the application is considered minor in nature, desirable and appropriate, and contains the intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw as amended. Thank you.
Any questions? Ken?
Just on the very first page, I'm assuming that's a typo. On the additional details, that kind of threw me when I first read it. Where it says, under additional details, the property is not located within the Quinte Conservation Authority. Yeah.
Correct, that's a typo. It should
obviously
be,
it
it
is.
is
That's
located
all the
within the
approvals.
watershed.
Yeah.
And I should also mention that both applicants were online, so Mr. Anderson is online if anyone has questions of him.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Otherwise, I need a motion to receive the report and adopt the recommendation. Councilor Yance, Deputy Reeve Fritz. Any further questions, comments? Ready for the vote. Councilor Thompson.
Yes.
Councilor Hook.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Fritz.
Yes.
Councilor Yance.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Thank you, Patricia. A lot of reading.
Sorry, yes, I got a bit tongue tied there.
Yeah. Okay. So. No applications,
No.
nothing else. Motion to adjourn. Councilor Thompson. Councilor Yance. Ready for the vote. Councilor Thompson.
Yes.
Councilor Hook.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Fritz.
Yes.
Councilor Yance.
Yes.
That motion is carried and we are adjourned.